Hey everyone, Karmyn here with KT Vocal Studio, and today's lesson is on the ma exercise. Now before we get started, I want to remind you that I do have a video on how to support your breathing and all of that kind of thing. I just call it Just the Basics. And so if you haven't watched that yet, please pause now and go back and watch it and then pick this up, because I'm going to walk through this video like you already have seen that video, and so things may not make sense if you don't. So going to the ma exercise, now I put these an order of all of these exercises on purpose to kind of help you go through your range from more of like a forward vowel sound and how you feel going back, and using different consonant vowel combinations. So today is the ma, and I have that right next to or right after the moi exercise. If you remember the moi, we talk about being very narrow, oi, oi, and bringing that all the way up. It's one of my favorite vocal exercises. If I can't do anything, I will do that exercise. That will start kind of getting me lined up, and all of my sounds and my notes kind of start going on one pathway, and I've talked about that before. Well, you do this one after the moi, so ma needs to have a similar feeling. Sometimes though, our ma can just be kind of like splattered everywhere, so I'm going to make some sounds that are not going to be what you're going to want to make, just to kind of have you feel a difference, because you always want to make sure you recognize that even though you're doing an M sound, the sound of your chords, they're coming from inside your throat. They're not magically floating around anywhere else. And the M sometimes can be a tad nasal. The N not so much, but the M, ma, ma, it can be a little bit nasal, so you kind of have to pay attention to this one. The moi is more difficult because of the oi. Moi, 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 moi. And so if you get that feeling and you put the ma in the same zone, then it's going to be less nasal. But I want you to record yourself, and if it does get nasal, I need you to stop and kind of make an assessment of why you're making it go in your nose. If it's because of the M, then try to do something else besides the N. So instead of M, maybe do ya, 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 and that'll help you not be as nasal. So, but this is the ma exercise that I want to work on, because we're trying to get it centered, and we're trying to get your ah not to be nasal. So it comes right after the moi on purpose, okay? So when you're doing this, like I said, I don't want you to be nasal, and if you do a ya, 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 because that definitely isn't nasal, and that will help you kind of get your jaw loose. But the ma also, a little bit of a loose jaw needs to be there, because we're moving our jaw. And be over dramatic or over emphasize the ah, over articulate if you need to say it that way. Ma, 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 ma. It doesn't ma, ma, ma. You don't want to have a tense jaw. So as we do this, you want to make sure that your chords are coming together. Now, the difference between being breathy is that your chords are not strong. Your chords are not coming together. So it'd be ma, 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 ma. And that would be pretty much lazy vocal cords. So you want to have that feeling. So get that hey feeling. If you're not sure, you're like, I feel like my voice is going ma, and it's very breathy. Go, hey, hey, ma, ma. Feel that feeling coming together in your vocal cords. Ah, ma, so that you know that your chords are coming together, and you can tell a difference. Hopefully you can tell a difference between being too breathy. So what we don't want as we do all this is ma, 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 or ma, 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 ma. You don't want to squeeze it. It needs to be balanced. It needs to be down in your throat, but in an open throat. You don't need to be tense and squeezy. You need to relax that. Your larynx, just keep it neutral and natural, nothing too crazy. It may bob up and down a little bit, but going up and down, but that is natural in its nature. It doesn't need to be squished up, because that means you're trying to make it do something, or pushed down, because that means you're trying to make it do something. Let it just be kind of have some buoyancy. So on this, you want to keep a narrow feeling as you go up, but you also want to think about the center of your head or the center of your mouth. So ma, you don't want the sound just falling out. I want you to imagine something different. As the air is coming out, I want you to imagine the sound is going behind you. Ma, 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 ma. And let that M, especially if it's in that good, narrow, centered position, as you go up, let the air carry your sound up there, because that's kind of what it's doing. Ma, 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 ma. So let that air continue to flow out. I always say, if you hold back air, you're going to start tensing. So held back air is never good air. Let that air out, and if you're supported, you're going to be fine. So let's start here on a B flat and just go 1, 3, 5, 8. Ma, 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 ma. 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 it's going to feel different. We talk about acoustics all the time. The way your body feels a low note as opposed to the way your body feels a high note is going to feel differently. So it's going to feel narrow or smaller, okay? You can still think down and back. The down and back feeling may feel like a narrow down, not like a big, huge hugging a tree down, but narrow feeling down and back. And it's just going to, I want you to do something else too on this as we did on the moi. If you have a problem getting up to that note, I want you to put an accent on the very first note to be kind of like we did on the moi, where it's kind of like a bounce up to that top note. So you're not going to, I don't want you to accent the top note at all because that means you're pushing. But if you accent the bottom note, that kind of helps give you that support or remind yourself to support down deep. I like to say underneath the belly button in your core. So ma, 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 ma. So you put a little bit of an accent on the very first note, and also put an accent when you come back down. So that very first note, I'm on a D, so the low D is going to have the accent twice, okay? So ma, 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 ma. 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 Sorry, I had to belch. Ma, 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 ma. 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 Now, again, as we come back down, use that M to find your lower range again. So it's kind of nice because the N and the M, sometimes you can use those to kind of slowly get you back down to earth, or back down out of your higher range from your tilt into your lower range. Okay, so excuse me, I had to belch in the middle of there. That does happen sometimes when you drink something right before you do all this, so don't do that. Anyway, so when you think higher up there, I want you to almost think like a pinpoint that's kind of getting slowly behind you and farther away, meaning it's very tiny, but you're always going to aim it. You're always aiming that right back there, right back there, right back there. So I hope this video has helped you. If there are any other questions that you may have, and I may have not have covered your concern, I can't cover every single concerns, but I can cover the basics. And most of the time, it's people not supporting, not loosening their jaw, not thinking center, and being a little bit too breathy. So you've got to remember, if it starts feeling breathy, go ahead and stop. Only go as high as you can comfortably, and then go back down. So I'm going to put a link to the exercise down below and the other warm-ups that I do in each of the 4 categories. And again, hope this helped you a lot, and have a great day singing.